Karl Malone is one of the best power forwards of all time.
Howdies, howdies, howdies. Who's gonna make me beautiful?
Oh man, that looks old on camera. We're getting older, I keep going older.
If not the best. Built more like a tight end than a basketball player, he was hard to defend in the low block because of his size and strength. On the fast break, he filled the lane and shot a deadly jumper from mid-range.
This is my kingdom. I'm the maintenance man, Sam.
The two-time MVP had 36,928 points at the end of his career, which was second only to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He also shot more free throws and got more defensive boards than any other NBA player. He was also chosen for the all-time team for the 50th anniversary and won 2 gold medals at the Olympics. He earned the nickname the Mailman because he always did his best on the court. Malone will also always be linked to Utah Jazz point guard John Stockton, who played with Malone.
How many times he asked myself and Stockton, do we want to coach his team? And every single time was, no, we don't. I don't. No, we don't. So
they were the most consistent guard-forward duo in the history of the NBA. No one will ever be able to figure out how many of Malone's field goals came after a Stockton pass, but it's safe to say that most of them did. The Jazz picked Stockton in 1984, and the following year, they picked Malone. For the next 18 years, they played together and never missed a playoff game. With their infamous pick and roll that was hard to stop, and Stockton always passing the ball to Malone for baskets, the phrase "Stockton to Malone" became an NBA cliche.
And I didn't make this journey alone. And it's kind of bittersweet, but I saved that to the end.
The legendary NBA coach Pat Riley said of the two near the end of their careers in Utah, they are masters at getting into people's heads. They know how to play the physical game very well. They are very physical on both ends of the court, and they have the experience to play both technically and strategically. Malone went above and beyond what many people thought a country boy from Summerfield, Louisiana, a town with only 200 people, could do. He worked hard on and off the court. He trained hard during the offseason, which made him very tough.
I think if you talk to any Hall of Famer here, I don't think anybody will tell you that they went to bed every night saying, I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame. Guys worked hard, guys dedicated themselves, and I'm a living witness.
Even though he was famous, he didn't act like a typical superstar. He liked fishing, hunting, and driving his truck and motorcycles. Malone was also never afraid to say what he thought or care what other people thought of him. That got him picked for the NBA's first-team All-interview many times, and his peers had to respect him for it.
Anything that other people would laugh and think outlandish, she would always say, I know you will. People don't realize this. I didn't want to be an athlete.
Karl Malone was one of the NBA's most reliable scorers. He finished his career with 36,928 points, which is second on the list of all-time scorers. Doc Rivers, a man who knew Malone and works as an analyst, said, he was very physical, and sometimes he was almost cheap. But I didn't mind because I knew he was trying to win. I've always thought it's part of the game when a guy throws an extra elbow or tries to knock you down, especially if you let him get away with it. But in the last year, and especially this year when I've been on TV, I've grown to like him more. You start to learn things about him that you didn't know before. The professionalism is what stands out to me. After spending time with him and talking to him, I can see why he has played for so long and why he has been so good over the course of his career. If professional scouts had known how much of an impact Karl Malone would have on the NBA, they would have picked him much higher than 13th in the 1985 NBA draft. During his 3 years at Louisiana Tech, he averaged 18.7 points per game and 9.3 rebounds per game. This may have caused him to fall so far. Malone averaged 14.9 PPG and 8.9 RPG as a first-year player. He got the third most votes for Rookie of the Year, and the NBA put him on the All-Rookie team. Malone had a great 19-year career with the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Lakers. He won 2 regular season MVP awards and was named to 13 All-Star teams, 11 All-NBA first teams, and 1 All-NBA third team, 3 All-Defensive first teams, and 1 All-Defensive second team. He is also third on the list of NBA players with the most points in their career, behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and LeBron James. The promise that Byron Scott wouldn't talk about players on other teams didn't last long. This time, Scott was careful not to get himself into trouble. He said something nice about that person. Scott had nothing but good things to say about Karl Malone of Utah. Scott used to say that Malone was heartless. If people think that Karl is as good as he is because of his body, then you'd have a bunch of bodybuilders playing basketball right now, he said. These guys in the World Wrestling Federation who are 6'6" or 6'7", weigh 290 pounds, have 2% body fat, and are athletic, they should be Hall of Famers in basketball, right? But that isn't true. Many of us wish we could still play at 38 or 39, but we can't. The most amazing thing about him and John Stockton is that they are still playing at the level they are. Scott said that he liked how fit and quick Malone has stayed. He said, the body will only do what the mind tells it to do. Of course, his mind tells him to stay in shape and do whatever it takes to look and play the way he does.
Hi, and welcome to Karl Malone's Body Shop.
Even if you have that body at 25, it doesn't mean you'll still have it at 35. You have to look after it. He could be one of those guys with a beer belly who try and run up and down the court. He is very proud to be in such good shape.
You know your own body. Always start off to what you feel good at. Just do the kind that you can and work up to them.
And that is not the only other person to praise Malone. During the celebrations for the NBA's 75th anniversary, Magic Johnson talked to the crew from NBA TV about how much he liked fellow anniversary team members Karl Malone and John Stockton. The former Lakers star used very kind words to praise the team. Johnson even said that they might not be able to be stopped. Pick and roll with John Stockton, Karl Malone. Johnson said that his longtime rivals were the most unstoppable pick and roll duo I've ever played against. Next up, during a podcast, Carlos Boozer said that Karl Malone, who is without a doubt the best power forward in Jazz history, sorry Larry Kryskowiak, was also the toughest player he ever played against in the NBA. For me, when I came in the NBA in 2002, there were so many great power forwards. From Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace, Boozer said on the Hold That podcast with Nate Robinson, Karl Malone was my opponent, and he beat me 38-15 in only 30 minutes. He was like a video game. He was so strong, and his jump shot was good from anywhere on the court. He was great at picking and rolling with John Stockton. Robinson made fun of Malone's uniform parts as a joke because of this. Robinson said, "Man, you let a guy in who was wearing 2 wrestling wristbands." Boozer replied, "That boy was on fire. I made a mistake when I tried to guard him." Malone was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 2010, a year after Jazz teammates Sloan and Stockton. He had a great career even though he never won a championship, said Jerry Sloan, Malone's coach in Utah for 15 years. He played when he probably shouldn't have. He did everything he could to try to win. I think that kind of thing is often overlooked in basketball these days. Well, what are your thoughts on Karl Malone? Do you believe he's the best power forward ever? Let us know in the comment section below.